Hello, class. My name is Mai,
I'm Brian.
And I'm Larry.
and today we are going to do our presentation on GPU elasticity of supply and demand on the graphics processing unit, and specifically, we're going to talk about the Nvidia chips. Okay. In today's presentation, we will give a quick overview of GPUs. First, we'll be discussing how the pandemic impacted the elasticity of the GPU supply and demand. Then we'll discuss the prices and quantities demanded and supplied pre and post pandemic and whether there is any way that this industry could change its normal elasticity curves. Finally, we'll touch on the market that this product faces and if there is a way for this industry to to have more control over its market structure. A GPU is a graphic unit that is a specialized electronic circuit designed to rapidly manipulate and alter memory to accelerate the creation of images for output to a display device. GPUs are found in almost all devices for the display, such as laptops, cell phones, and gaming consoles. Most people think of GPUs as the brains of a computer, but as time progresses, it's really a network for processing units working together. GPUs are used in personal computing, crypto mining, and AI. So pretty much every type of electronic uses a GPU. During the pandemic, many countries closed their borders and restricted travel. GPUs are primarily manufactured in Taiwan, which was hit hard during the pandemic. This caused a decrease in supply, and in addition, many people were forced to have to stay home and work from home, increasing their usage of electronic products. This increased demand for GPUs. An example of this is the increase in sales of products such as PCs and cars. The supply and demand graph shows how the supply of GPUs were reduced by the loss of the supply chain and reduction in productivity due to the lockdown. This is represented by the purple supply line being shifted to the left. In conjunction, the demand increased due to working, online learning, and home entertainment, as well as cryptocurrency mining. The gray line represents pre COVID demand. You can see this shift to the right as represented by the red line. The green line shows the pre-COVID equilibrium, and the yellow line is the post-COVID equilibrium price. Lastly, an obvious sign of low supply and high demand is scalping. If you do a quick internet search online, you'll find that some GPUs are sold at double their regular sales price. This graph here shows the pre-pandemic supply and demand based on Nvidia chip sales in 2018. The gray demand line here shows that the higher the price, the fewer the demand for the product. The purple line here shows the supply pre-COVID. When price is high, NVIDIA wants to sell more GPUs. The green equilibrium line denotes that at an average cost of $400, the quantity sold or demand is $8 million. Because GPUs are required in all electronic devices, companies that produce GPUs can really list the price at whatever price they want, and there'll still be a high demand for the product. We can see this happen when scalpers double the price of GPUs on eBay. Despite the fact that the cost of GPUs was already doubled, the demand for the product was still really high. It's still very difficult to find the GPUs in stores or even online. Based on NASDAQ reporting, NVIDIA saw a 10% increase in sales from pre to post pandemic. This is a chart based on NVIDIA sales. All right, so this is a graph that shows NVIDIA GPU in 2018. This graph shows pre-pandemic supply and demand based on NVIDIA chip sales in 2018. The gray demand line here shows that the higher the price, the fewer the demand for the product. The purple line represents supply pre-COVID. When price is high, NVIDIA wants to sell more GPUs. The green equilibrium line denotes that at an average cost of $400, the quantity sold or demand is $8 million. Because GPUs are required in all devices, companies that produces GPUs can really list the price at whatever cost they want, and there'll still be a very high demand for the product. We saw this happen when scalpers doubled the price of GPUs on eBay. Despite the fact that the cost of GPUs was already double, the demand for the product was still high. It was still very difficult to find GPUs in stores or even online.
All right. So, based on NASDAQ reporting, Nvidia saw a 10% increase in sales from pre to post pandemic. In 2018, Nvidia's revenue was $9.7 billion. That grew to $10.9 billion in 2020. Nvidia expected growth in 2021 to be $13.1 billion. This post-pandemic graph shows the supply and demand shift from GPUs from 2019 to 2020. It's clear that while there was some impact on the supply chain, the demand for GPUs remained relatively high. The number one contributing factor is the fact that GPUs are found in almost every piece of electronics that we use. Elasticity is the percentage change in quantity divided by the percentage change in price with regards to demand. It is the change in the quantity the consumer is willing to pay for as a result of the price change. While we can say that there's many factors that might affect the price of supply and demand of a GPU during the pandemic, its price elasticity of demand remains firmly the same. GPUs are very inelastic demand curve, meaning that the price change does not impact the quantity. Nvidia can increase their price to whatever they want and not have to worry about decreasing in demand and sales. Is there a way for the industry to change its inelasticity over the demand curve? The answer is, why would Nvidia or any other GPU company do it? They have the market cornered, and Nvidia owns an 80% of the market share. Companies want an inelastic demand, the ability to set the price to whatever they want and still have demand for the product. On the supply side, elasticity is the change in the quantity that the producer wants to make as a result of the price change. Pre-pandemic, GPUs have an elastic supply curve, meaning that the cost components used to make the GPUs are high, and there are very few factories that produce some of the components. As I mentioned before, Taiwan is the primary manufacturer of GPUs. When it restricted travel, this caused a ripple effect of the supply chain. This begs the question, is there a way for the industry to change its elasticity of supply? Yes, there is. First, we need to build more factories and start building outside of Taiwan if possible. This ensures that there's more than one country supplying the product, and it can also cut down on shipping costs.
All right, everybody, this is Brian, and substitutes. Like we said before, AMD is the main competitor with its RX model, but Nvidia has an 80% market share. So Nvidia, you take a look right here, this is their flagship, the RTX 3080. Okay, and then this is the Radeon version, and these are kind of the different specs that go along with this, and they're just not as powerful. So the substitutes aren't that good. Kind of like how iPhone is really, really good, and Android, there's so many different versions of Android, stuff doesn't work well. Like Nvidia is the Apple of the GPU market. Everything just works better. So what have they done, and what are they probably going to continue to do, is differentiation with Nvidia versus AMD. So their differentiation strategy is they have faster GPU processors. Their clock speeds are just faster. They have more CUDA cores. These are separate processors on that board that render the images. They have more memory. The one I just got is 12 gigabytes of memory on the card. That's a lot. A lot of supported APIs. APIs are like advanced programming interface. So like different applications can use these video cards. And virtual reality ready, and this is a big emerging market. NVIDIA's processors work way better with PC virtual reality VR headsets. The AMD ones, they'll work, but they don't work as good. So how do they differentiate? They're just making better stuff. That's all it boils down to. So the market structure is, we're calling this an oligopoly. And why are we calling this an oligopoly? Because they have that price making power. They could set the price. They have that inelastic demand. We have the high barriers to entry. Like, you just can't build one of these in your garage. You have to have a whole team of engineers working on these, from software engineers, hardware engineers. It just doesn't work. Differentiated products, like this is what we had talked about in the previous slide, their differentiation strategy. And interdependence dependence of firms, they depend on a couple of other different firms for printed circuit boards and whatnot. But there's only a couple big guys in town, and that's Nvidia. Intel has a small market share, and AMD has the second biggest market share, but Nvidia's got it cornered. I mean, if you go into a Best Buy, you'll see Nvidia just plastered all over every laptop and desktop. So, is there anything they can do to generate more profit? So, when we look at 2019, and this is in millions of dollars in revenue, they had a slight dip in 2020, but 2021, like, they went up. So they are the most profitable they've ever been in 2021. So the company is an oligopoly. They have 80% market share, which is almost a monopoly. In July 2021, Nvidia and their main competitor AMD, they announced that they're back to pre-pandemic levels, yet the demand is still high. The GPUs are sold out everywhere you go. You can only get them from scalpers. I got mine recently from eBay from a scalper for twice as much as what it is. So we're thinking the company, they're going to maintain production where they're at while they're profitable and they have record profits. As long as marginal cost equals marginal revenue, don't think they're really going to open up any more factories or anything. I mean, the marginal costs, kind of skyrocket. They're parabolic. And we think that they're right there at that point. So they're just going to keep producing. And I think over time, that the prices will start to equalize, but not anytime soon. We're talking maybe a year or two. So the marginal costs, like I said, they'll go up exponentially. Prices will slowly decrease over time. The supply chain is a huge issue right now, and now is AMD's time to shine. If they can build a good, better product for cheaper, I think this is right now is an incredible opportunity for them to get more of that market share. All right. Well, in conclusion, everybody, GPUs, they're required to run on any type of electronics with a display. This market has a very inelastic demand curve, which was unaffected by the pandemic, but it does have an elastic supply curve, which can be fixed by reducing costs. So GPUs have a very common market structure. It is an oligopoly, and Nvidia has the lion's share of the market space. So, we talked about supply and demand a little bit. We talked about the product. We talked about the elasticity of demand. The elasticity, we have inelastic demand. We talked about elasticity of supply that we had with this product. We talked about substitutes, differentiation, and what type of market it's in. So if you have any questions or concerns, please hit us up on the forums, and we'll be happy to answer them.